Hello guys, welcome back to the next tutorial. In this tutorial we will talk about wait types in Selenium. I will explain why do we want to wait, in which scenario we will need to wait, and what are different types of waits. So let's get started. Here is the Google website. First time when we open any site, you see this thing rotating here. See, which means the website is still loading. Whenever we open any site or reload it, you may have noticed that it takes some time to get loaded, and elements take some time to appear on a web page. If you have fast connection, you will not see this loading time, but if you have slow connection, you can clearly see this loading time, and sometimes you have to wait for the page to get it loaded completely. This is the behavior you will see in Selenium most of the time, which you may not face in real world. Let me explain it with example. I'm gonna bring up my PyCharm. I have already created a class named as Implicit Wait test. Here I have initialized the web browser, which is Chrome browser. As Chrome browser requires Chrome driver path, so I have saved this path in a variable and passed this variable while initializing the browser. Here I have added the Google website URL which I want to open. You can use any URL here. Here I added a teardown function which will quit the browser at the end, and I have called the class here and called the function which needs to be run, and called the teardown function at the end. Now I want to log in Gmail account, so I will click on this login button, sign in button, and this will navigate me to the login page. So let's inspect element here. Select this login button and let's create CSS selector. Here is the ID which seems unique, so let's copy it, and I'm gonna create CSS selector by using this ID. So hash sign and ID. It's giving me 1 by 1, so it's a unique value. Copy it and let's add it here. Self.driver dot find element by CSS selector, and add variable CSS selector here, and dot click. I want to click this button. This statement will click the button. First it will find the element and then click it. And now I'm gonna add text in email address field on login page. So self.driver.find element by CSS selector, and we'll add CSS selector here and send keys to add text in a text field, and let's add test123@gmail.com. I'm using any dummy email address here. It will not work, but just wanted to see where we can add implicit wait and where we need to add this wait. So let's find this CSS selector value. Here click on the sign in button and select this text field, and let's try to find the unique value. Let's use this name identifier, create CSS selector, this, and it's unique, as you can see 1 by 1 here. Let's copy it, paste it here, Now here is the next button. Let's click on this element and identify next. This is the ID. Yes, it's unique also. Copy this one and add this statement here. Let's add comment. Click on next button. Self.driver.find element by CSS selector and add CSS selector here. Dot click. Now I wanna add password in a password field. Self.driver find element by CSS selector and we'll add the password CSS selector here. Then send keys and add password text here, which is a dummy value here as well. So let's create CSS selector for the password field. Test 123@gmail.com. Next, and copy. Yeah, select this text field and here is the name, which is password. Let's create CSS selector. It's also unique value. Copy it, paste it here, and yes, first I will click the login button, then add the email address, then click the next button and then add the password. Okay, let's run this code. And you can see exception here. It's not working. Exception is no such element or unable to locate element. Why is that? This is because driver works very fast. When it clicks on login button, page starts loading and then it enters the email address in a email field, and then it clicks on the next button, and when it clicks on the next button before loading the next page, driver tries to find the password field, but it's not loaded yet and programs fail, and it throws exception that is unable to locate element, and element is password. So there can be different exception as well. It's currently giving me exception unable to locate element. Sometimes it gives element is not attached to the document, or it can throw exception that is element is not available. So all these exception can be thrown if driver is unable to find the element. So to handle this, there are two types of waits: implicit wait and explicit wait. We'll explain explicit wait in another tutorial. Now I'm gonna talk about implicit wait. What is it, how it works, and so on. So usually the element is not immediately available. It tells the WebDriver to poll the DOM during the certain amount of time. So when we put the implicit wait time, it tells the driver to wait for this amount of time which is mentioned, and after waiting for this particular time, look for the element to perform action. By default, this time is 0. When we don't put implicit wait, driver sees 0 and does not wait and tries to find that element immediately. But if you provide the implicit wait time, it waits for certain amount of time. Let's say if I add implicit wait time for 10 seconds, it waits for 10 seconds, and then if it's not able to find the element, then it throws exception. If it's able to find element, it performs other next steps. Let's add implicit wait in code. Here self.driver.implicitly wait, and I'm adding wait for 10 seconds. What will it do? Driver will wait for 10 seconds and then find this password field to enter text. If it's loaded, driver will be able to find it, else it will throw exception. I'm adding 10 seconds here. You can add 1 or 2 seconds as well. It usually works in 1 or 2 seconds, but if you have slow connection, you can add more time, 5 or 10 seconds. Let's run it and see if it works or not. And see, it's working. Exit code is 0. This is simple, guys. This is why we need to use wait in our test. That's about it. Thanks for running this one, guys, and stay tuned for the next tutorial.